Hello.
Hello.
Shh. We're reading OSHO today. Again.
It's more OSHO. Today is the third installment of this book.
Yes, we got a little backlash yesterday about it, so we're keeping it on the D-Lo now. It's really rebellious of us. But good morning, and it starts out with a really good question. So, here it goes. Question. When I was a child, I always felt like I had a rebellious spirit inside me, but I wasn't allowed to express it, and soon it started to disappear. Now I am beginning to feel that we each carry a power within us that could bring real transformation to the world. And it feels very much like that same rebellious spirit I used to have. Can you please say something about this? Everybody is born innocent, peaceful, loving, knowing nothing about the cutthroat competition in the world, knowing nothing about the nuclear weapons that are being prepared to welcome him, knowing nothing about the dirty politics that have been torturing humanity for millennia. But before his peace, his love, his trust can become a rebellious force, we start destroying all that is beautiful in him and replacing it with all that is ugly in us. That's what our parents have done to us. So we repeat the performance. Generation after generation, the same disease. Hey, Kathy.
No offense, parents.
I know.
This isn't about you guys.
Generation after generation, the same disease goes on being transferred from one hand to another hand. With all the good intentions in the world, the parents, the teachers, the leaders, the priests all go on forcing ideas of competition, comparison, ambition, preparing every child for the tough struggle that he is going to face in life. In other words, for violence, aggressiveness. They know that unless you are aggressive, you will be left behind. You have to assert yourself and do it forcibly. You have to compete as if it were a question of life and death. All this is the framework of our educational systems. I used to come first in my class. Not that I was studious, not that I attended the class regularly. I simply found that the courses they were teaching to students were not even worth 2 months' time, and we were wasting the whole year. So just for 2 months at the end of the term, I gave my total attention, and the remaining time I was enjoying everything else except school. The teachers were amazed, and when I used to come home after the results, I would tell my father that I had come first. He always said, "That means your class consists of fools."
This is a very sweet thing your friend wrote.
Lara, la.
I don't know how. Oh, there we go. We go like that.
Aw, I hope you're doing okay, Laura. I know there's things going on in the world. I said, this is strange. When other people come first, their parents feel happy. But you, it seems, feel sorry that I was studying with fools. You think that's why I have come first. Otherwise, there would be no hope for me. But he never encouraged me. You have done a good job. You should be rewarded. He never rewarded me. His only response consistently was, "It is strange how you can always find a class of fools, so naturally you come first." But this is very rare. Parents give every incentive. Be first and you will be rewarded. Be first. That is bringing honor to the parents, to the family. Everybody is teaching you to be ahead of others, whatever the cost. Sooner or later, children become feverish and they start running faster. Even if they have to hurt somebody to get ahead, they will do it. Violence is bound to be a part of competitive society. In a competitive society, you don't have any friends. Everybody pretends to be friendly, but everybody is your enemy because everybody is fighting to climb on the same ladder. Everybody is your enemy because he can succeed and force you to be a failure. And soon people start learning the art of how to pull on others' legs, how to use wrong means, because those wrong means give you a shortcut. There was a student when I was a teacher in the university. He was such that on an examination day, no teacher was ready to be in the hall where that student was given a place. He was almost murderous. At any moment, he could murder somebody. What he used to do was this. He would come with a knife into the examination hall, and he would put his knife on the desk so everybody could see it there, so that no professor would come close. He would bring notes with him for the examination, and he would always manage to come first. No professor wanted to be the observer in the examination hall where that student was. My vice chancellor asked me to do it. I said, "There is no problem." He said, "But nobody is ready." I said, "They don't understand." I asked one of my friends, he was a Sikh. I asked him, "You give me your kripan." It is a big special kind of sword, far more dangerous than any other sword. Just one hit and the head is off. He asked, "What are you going to do with the sword?" I said, "I'm going to teach this student to be a Sikh." He said, "That is good." And now there's some words that I don't know here. It's a mantra of the Sikhs. That is the way the victory of the master happens. This is the way the victory of the master's followers happens. He gave me his kripan, and I went into the examination room. That boy was sitting with his small knife on the desk. I went near to his desk, and just by the side of his knife, I forced my kripan into the wood. He looked at me and I said, "Throw away all the notes that you have brought with you. Just look at my kripan." And I took away his knife. He asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "If you speak another word, just one hit of the kripan, you will lose your head." He said, "You seem to be insane. I have not done anything wrong, and you are ready to kill me." I said, "It is not a question of right or wrong. It is a question of who has a bigger knife. I have a bigger one. I have all the powers in this examination hall to throw you out." And I threw his knife out the window of the hall. I said, "If you don't throw away all the notes that you have brought with you, your head will go from the same window." He gave me all his papers, and I threw them out the same window. The vice chancellor was watching from the window of his office. "What is happening? Things are coming out of the window of the examination hall. First the knife came, then a few notebooks." He came running. "It seems that there is some trouble." I said, "You don't be worried. Only one thing more. If this boy is not going to behave, you will see more things coming out of the window." He said, "What?" I said, "His head." He took me outside the room and he said, "I am sorry that I asked you to be the examiner here. Just forget it. You can't do such a thing." I said, "There is no other way to teach that idiot a lesson, because all the professors you have been sending here were so afraid of his knife. Now nobody is ready to come. What can he do? At the most, he can kill you, so I have brought a bigger knife." But this is what the society makes everybody learn sooner or later. You have to be more aggressive. Otherwise, you will be a failure. You have to fight your way because everybody is trying to achieve the same ambition. Hey guys, hey Tim. And Robin. Oh no, nobody's watching. That's okay. I said, well, the vice chancellor told me, "You are relieved. Never again are you required to be the examiner." I said, "That is really great. That is what I wanted. It is unnecessary because I don't want to harass anybody. Life will harass all of them. Why should I add more harassment to their lives? But I cannot allow anybody to harass me either. It is very good of you to have relieved me of this duty forever. But this whole society is violent, and you have to be more violent if you want to be ambitious. We need the non-ambitious, non-competitive people, those who have no will for power, to be the rebels. Every child can become such a rebel. All he needs is not to be distracted from his innocence. Your feeling is right that you have a rebel inside you. Everybody has a rebel, but the society is too powerful. It makes you cowardly. It makes you cunning. It does not help you to be your authentic self. It does not want anybody to be his authentic self, because then there will be rebels all over. But remember that before becoming a rebel, you have to fulfill a few conditions. I don't want old-fashioned rebels. My idea of the rebel is a totally fresh and new idea, a new realization. Unless you have compassion enough, love enough, silences of the heart, deep inner meditations bringing you more light, more awareness, you have not fulfilled my conditions. Only with these conditions do I want you to be a rebel. Then you cannot do anything wrong. Then whatever you do is right. Out of love, everything is right. Love is the magic that transforms everything into right. I want enlightened rebels. It is possible because enlightenment has been possible, and there have been rebels. All that we need is a synthesis bringing them together. Rebelliousness and enlightenment. A Gautam Buddha with the rebelliousness of a Lenin. It will be the most beautiful phenomenon. One friend from Japan sent me a statue of Gautam Buddha. It was a rare statue. I have never seen such a thing. In one of the hands of the statue there was a small earthen lamp with a flame. You had to put oil inside the earthen lamp as fuel so that the flame would go on burning. My friend said, "This is a condition. I was given this statue with the same condition, that the flame should be burning 24 hours a day without a break." In the other hand, the statue held a naked sword. This is possible only in Japan because Japan has made even swordmanship and archery into meditative arts. Meditation is basic. In India, we cannot conceive of Gautam Buddha having a sword, but the beauty of the statue was that half of his face was so peaceful, where the light of the small flame was falling, so calm and quiet, utterly serenity. Utterly serenity. And on the other side, his face was like that sword, so sharp that it could be only that of a great warrior. The artist who created it had done tremendous work. In the same face, he had shown a great synthesis, a sword in the hands of peace. This is my idea of rebellion, of the rebel. It should come out of your love for humanity, not out of anger against the past, but from a creative compassion for the future. You are not just to destroy the old. Your ideal, your end, is to create the new. Because the new cannot be created without demolishing the old. You demolish it, but there is no anger in it. It is a simple process. You demolish an old building. There is no question of anger. You clean the ground and make a new building in its place. You have to do both. Carry the peace, the silence, the light, the qualities of your inner being, and rebel against all injustice, against all inhumanity. But for a creative purpose, to materialize a dream of an authentic human society, which will be able to give equal opportunity to all, freedom to all, education that is nonviolent, education that is not only informative, but also transformative, an education that will make you more of an individual and bring the best in you to its flowering. You are sitting here with people who all have had such dreams. And the people in the outside world also had these dreams once when they were small children. The same qualities which have been forced down, repressed, their inhibitions can be removed. My people have to become burning torches, moving around in the world to share their fire with anyone who is ready. And you will be surprised. There are no people who have never dreamed of a beautiful future and who have never been in a state of innocence, who have never tasted something of peace, something of love, something of beauty. But all this has been destroyed, distorted, contaminated, poisoned by an ugly society. Its only power is in its ancientness, but now that very power, that ancientness, is going to prove to be its greatest weakness. It just needs a little push. It is a dead society already. It has prepared its grave with its own hands, and it is standing just at the edge of the grave. You just have to push, and you will suddenly find all that is old and rotten lying in its grave. We have to start from scratch. Again, Adam and Eve. Again, the Garden of Eden. Again, the very beginning. Okay, so that was OSHO on being a rebel.
It's good.
Chapter 2, Now or Never. Times of disaster make you aware of the reality as it is. Life is always fragile. Everybody is always in danger. Just in ordinary times, you are fast asleep so you don't see it. You go on dreaming, imagining beautiful things for the coming days, for the future. But in moments when danger is imminent, then suddenly you become aware that there may be no future, no tomorrow, that this is the only moment you have. So times of disaster are very revealing. They don't bring anything new into the world. They simply make you aware of the world as it is. They wake you up. If you don't understand this, you can go mad. If you understand this, you can become awakened. Okay, so here's the question.
Times of disaster awaken you.
Yeah. Yeah, who would have thunk it?
It's very fitting.
Hey, Bryn, if you're watching. Here's the question. When I think about what man has to cleanse himself of, it seems to get complicated. I think the thing hardest for man to drop is his so-called power, whether that is worldly or spiritual. To me, such people would rather see their world blow up than to give up their power. Is this so? It is so. People are so unconscious that they can do anything to keep their power, their respectability, even if it means blowing up the whole world. They can risk anything to save their ego. And these are the people who naturally reach to the positions of power, because they are the only seekers of power. No creative, intelligent person seeks power. No intelligent person is interested in dominating others. His first interest is to know himself. So the people with the highest quality of intelligence go toward mysticism, and the most mediocre go after power. That power can be worldly, political, it can be of money, it can be of holding spiritual domination over millions of people, but the basic urge is to dominate more and more people. This urge arises because you don't know yourself, and you don't want to know that you don't know yourself. You are so afraid of becoming aware of the ignorance that prevails in the very center of your being. You escape from this darkness through these methods: lust for money, lust for power, lust for respectability, honor. And a man who has darkness within himself can do anything constructive. Creativity is impossible from such a person because creativity comes from your being conscious, a little alert. Light and love and creativity are not at all interested in dominating anyone. For what? The other is the other. Neither do you want to dominate anyone, nor do you want to be dominated by anyone. Freedom is the very taste of being just a little alert. But these people are completely asleep. In their sleep, they are making atomic bombs, nuclear weapons, not knowing what they are doing. Only one thing keeps them moving, and that is the idea of attaining more power. And whoever comes in their way has to be destroyed. They don't know anything else. They are barbarians who have not evolved into human beings. Yes, they can destroy the whole world. They are already prepared to do so. And I am surprised that in this big world, nobody else is there to join hands with me because people are afraid of the powerful ones. They can be destroyed by them. One is fearless only when he knows that he is indestructible. You can kill him, but you cannot destroy his being. But such people have slowly disappeared from the earth. We have not nourished them. We kill them and then worship them. This also has to be understood why all the people that we have killed, for example, Jesus, Socrates, Mansur, Sarmad, are immensely respectable after they have been killed. When they were alive, they were condemned by everybody, not only by those who were in power, but even by those who were not in power. Those who were not in power condemned them to show to the powerful, we are with you. And the powerful condemned them because these people were bringing a vision. If it succeeds, then there will be no dominion or domination over the world. Then there will just be human beings with everybody unique, flowering in his own way. But all these people are worshipped when they are dead. That comes out of guilt. First people kill them, it is the powerful who kill them, and it is the powerless, the dominated, who support the powerful, unwillingly, but very fanatically, because they want to show everybody, we are even more against them than you are, we are more in favor of the powerful than you are. But once the man is killed, crucified, poisoned, these are the people who start feeling guilty, because from the very beginning they were not really ready to kill the man. They had no problem with the man. He was not destroying any of their vested interests. They simply supported the powerful because they were afraid that if they remained silent, they would be suspected of supporting the person who has been killed. A disciple of Jesus was in the crowd when Jesus was crucified, and he was asked, because he looked different from others, was not from the same place, was a foreigner, and nobody recognized him. He was being asked again and again, "Who are you? Do you know this man who is being crucified?" And he kept saying, "No, I have never heard of him. Just seeing that so many people are going this way, just to see what is happening, I have come." Even he could not admit that he was a follower of Jesus because he knew the result would be another cross. So finally, when these people are crucified, the people who had unwillingly supported it start feeling very guilty. What have we done against an innocent man who has done no harm to anybody? And whatever he was saying, he was right. They can understand that these people in power are exploiting everybody. It is a strange world. You know people now as kings and queens, but if you trace their ancestors, you will find that in the beginning they were robbers. From where did they get their kingdom? They come from a line of great robbers who have killed many people, accumulated money, land, declared themselves as lords of the land, and now they have royal blood. They are part of a lineage of criminals, and not ordinary criminals, big criminals, but they have power, they have money, so naturally their blood is special. The ordinary people have known all along that they are being crushed, murdered slowly. They labor hard and they cannot manage even one meal a day. They produce, but all that goes to those people who are in power. So when they support these people, it is unwillingly. That unwillingness, when the man is dead, turns into guilt. They start feeling that they have been participants in a criminal act. They have not done anything directly, but they were participants in a way. They were showing that they supported the powerful people. To remove that guilt, worship arises. Worship is simply the removal of the guilt, to wash away the guilt. That's how religions like Christianity grew so big. Otherwise, Jesus had not the level of genius to produce such a big religion. There were hundreds of rabbis who were far more intelligent, far more scholarly than he was. He was just an uneducated young man, but the crucifixion changed the whole situation. Once they crucified him, they made him a god to all those people who had supported the crucifixion. They started feeling guilty. And you can see it if you look deeply. Jesus was killed by the order of the Roman emperor, by his viceroy, Pontius Pilate, in Judea. And Judea?
Where's the word?
Judea. Were you sleeping?
No, I'm listening.
You were meditating?
Yeah, no, I'm listening to you.
Okay.
I'm interested. I mean, the Catholic guilt is huge.
So
it's the underpinning of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's true. So Jesus was killed by the Roman emperor with the agreement of the high priest of the temple of the Jews. Now, Rome has been the citadel of Christianity for 20 centuries, but the order to kill that man had originally come from Rome. There was a day when the whole Roman civilization turned into a Christian civilization. Now the Pope has only a small piece of land, 8 square miles, but it is an independent country. It has been shrinking slowly. Once he had the whole of Italy. He was a higher authority than the state. But centuries ago, people were killed in Rome for being Christians. Christ was the first to be killed. Then whoever turned Christian was killed in the same way. Hundreds of people were crucified, and this whole crucifixion created so much guilt in people that a great religion came of it. But such a religion can only be a psychological cover-up. It cannot be a true religion. It is simply covering up your guilt. The more fanatic a religious person is, you can measure by his fanaticism how guilty he is feeling, what he is hiding behind it. But Christianity became the world's biggest religion for the simple reason that not only Christ, but many other people who had become Christian were crucified without any trial. The masses were supporting the powerful people, but deep down feeling hurt. What is happening is simply inhuman, should not happen. But they are poor, they have no power. They cannot do anything except worship those who have been killed after their death. A real religion is always of meditation. A false religion is always of worship. Worship is a psychological method of washing the blood from your hands. Even Pontius Pilate, the first thing he did after ordering the crucifixion of Jesus was to wash his hands, because he was not willing to kill this innocent man. He had talked to him. He had listened in secret when he was talking to his disciples, and he had started loving something in the man. He is innocent. He says some crazy things, but the way he says them is beautiful. He is uneducated, but he speaks poetry. He does not know much, but whatever he knows, he presents it with tremendous authority. And he is not doing any harm to anybody. If you don't want to listen to him, don't listen. If you don't want to follow him, don't follow. He is not preaching any dangerous ideas to people. Pontius Pilate wanted him to be freed. He tried to persuade the priests that he should be freed because he seems to be innocent. But the Jews were not ready to free him, and they committed a great mistake. They are responsible for creating Christianity. So all the bloodshed that Christianity has caused, deep down the Jews are responsible for. And Christianity has taken revenge, tortured Jews, killed Jews, made them homeless. For centuries, this has been going on. Holy shit. Who are the people who became Christians? A few Jews who felt the innocence of the person, but were afraid of the priesthood, the religious hierarchy and power. But many more people were crucified in Rome, and then many more Romans became Christians. The Roman people, who are now Italians, started feeling guilty that people were being crucified just because they were getting involved with Jesus and his teachings. Eventually, the Roman Empire disappeared, and the whole land of the Romans became Christian, and from there, Christianity started moving all over the world. A guilt feeling is very basic to being a Christian, to being a false religious person. Real religiousness arises not out of guilt, but out of silence, out of love, out of meditativeness. It is true that people who are in power are almost on the brink of destroying the world rather than lose their power. I can understand their logic. They may not be aware of it. Their logic is, we are going to die anyway, so what if the whole world dies? Our death is certain, so why should we bother about whether the world lives after us or not? We should live in power as long as we are here, and there's no need to be bothered about what will happen if the world explodes into a third world war. The inner logic is that the day one is dead, the whole world is dead for him. You were not here one day. Whether the world was here or not would not have made any difference to you. You will not be here one day. Whether the world is there or has been blown up by nuclear weapons will not make any difference to you. What makes the difference to them is that they are in power, and they want to prove to the whole world that they are the most powerful people. There's the book. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by any of it.
I know lots of people probably don't want to hear all that.
Well, I mean, his origins of Christianity are, I don't know. I mean, I hadn't even really considered the origins of it because I've been so distracted by the state of it, you know?
Yeah.
But all these religions are man-made, you know? No, it's not like, and I think that's one of the more interesting things about it is we're convinced, you know, that like it's somehow like this knowledge has been beamed down from like a spaceship and we've just gotten it, and it's like you know,
Right.
it's like the virgin baby, you know, like it just arrived and there was nothing, it just happened. But in all actuality, these are people creating corporations to get money. It's a corporate system, you know. I mean, not to sound like a conspiracy, but it's a business. You know, that all these religions are businesses. That's why they ask you for money to perpetuate it.
It's true.
And that's what I'm so attracted to.
There's a lot there too, because I love Unity Church and stuff. So, and it's a business because it needs to continue to make money to be able to keep going.
They're very straightforward about that.
Yeah, it's,
you know,
there's a lot there.
It doesn't mean it's bad. You know, it just means that this isn't like this wholly clean, like amazing thing.
Right.
There are some dudes that got together and built it.
Right.
And they made it. And Unity is not using guilt to get people to come back.
That's true. That's true.
You know, the way that they get their money is kind of says a lot about the organization, you know?
So we're going to do one more question on page 50. And then we can go.
Yeah, but I think that's an important reality to really, because I remember I took a class in school about religion, and I asked the teacher, I was like, to realize that this is man-made, you know, all of these religions are man-made,
Right.
you know, and it's kind of a shocker for people that will be like, oh, I've been this way my whole life. But then the actual reality of, you know, there's some dudes that just kind of made this up, you know, or put it together and arranged it. That's never a part of the dialogue, you know. But
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing to consider.
Okay. Question. At the risk of sounding ridiculous, in the midst of all the gloom about the future of the world, I honestly don't care if the world ends tomorrow. So what if the point of talking about it and fueling the already massive fire of doom, which seems to burn eternally in the depressing mind of mankind? Enough is enough. I understand that it's now or never, so let's do it now. Let's dance. It is easy to say I do not honestly care about the world, but let your heart feel it. The world is not something that is only outside of you. The world is within you too. You are the world. And this issue of the darkness that is coming closer and closer has to be given significance so that your choice becomes now and you stop postponing. It is true, now or never, but there are so few people in the world who live now. They are always living either in yesterdays or in tomorrows. Why am I insisting that there is, for the first time, a possibility that there will not be any tomorrow at all? There is an old proverb saying, tomorrow never comes. But the old proverb has been only a proverb, and in spite of that proverb, tomorrow has kept on coming. It may not come as tomorrow, it will always come as today. In that sense, the proverb is right. But today, the situation is totally different. Tomorrow really may not come. I want it to sink deep in your being that we have come to the very end of the road, and there is nothing left except dancing and rejoicing. To make it now, I am destroying your tomorrow completely. I am taking it away from your mind, which is deeply involved with tomorrows. Even if you say you understand that perhaps tomorrow the world will end, Deep down, your mind goes on saying, there have been thousands of wars and the world has survived. One war more is not going to make much difference. Mind is very clever in finding excuses that something or other will prevent the destruction. And I am not saying that the destruction should not be prevented. What I am saying is that in your mind, there should be no excuse left for postponement. So your whole energy gathers in the now. It is not spread in the future. And if the whole energy is concentrated in this point, then this moment can become the moment of enlightenment. Enlightenment is nothing but your consciousness being concentrated on a single point, now and here. You are saying enough is enough. No, looking at the human mind, nothing is enough. People will go on living in their old unconscious ways, hoping against hope that although there have always been people like Jesus and Buddha predicting the end of the world is still there. This time the situation is totally different. I'm not predicting the end of the world. It is simply becoming so certain, so logically certain, that there seems to be no possibility to avoid it. But my interest is not in avoiding it. If it can be avoided, it will be avoided. My interest is to make it so clear to you that it cannot be avoided, and that you don't have any future to invest your energy in, that you have to pull all your energy back to the present moment. And the moment the whole energy becomes a pool here and now, the explosion of light happens, and you are, for the first time, absolutely yourself, an eternal being, an immortal being, who knows nothing of death, who has never come across any darkness. You are saying, so let us do it now, let us dance. But your dance has to be total, because you can dance and still think of the future. You can dance and still think that tomorrow we will be dancing again. Dance as if this is the last dance. Dance with abandon, holding nothing back. That will bring transformation to your being, and a possibility of transformation for other people too. A politician is making a speech and says, "Fellow electors, we must restore the status quo." A man shouts from the audience, "What does status quo mean?" The politician replies in a rare fit of honesty, "Actually, it is Latin for the mess we are in." On the surface, it seems everything is going perfectly well, but deep down, there is a great turmoil in the unconscious layers of human beings. You are not even aware of your own unconscious nightmares, but humanity is suffering as it has never suffered before. It is restless as it has never been before. It has forgotten the language of relaxation. It has forgotten the language of totality. It has forgotten the language of intensity. And all those qualities are needed to make your meditation a revolution in your being. It is not a question of morality, not a question of character, not a question of virtue. Religions have been concerned with all those things for thousands of years, and they have not been successful in changing man. It is a totally different approach, a different dimension, the dimension of energy and the concentration of energy. Just as atomic energy is the explosion of a small atom into its constituent of electrons, protons and neutrons, it is not visible to the eyes, but the explosion is so vast that it can destroy a great city like Nagasaki or Hiroshima. Exactly parallel is the inner explosion of the living cell. The atomic energy is outside and destructive, objective and destructive. The inner energy, the subjective cell of your being, has the same qualities, the same tremendous power once it explodes, but it is creative. In a chain reaction, one cell inside you explodes, and then other cells inside you explode in a chain. The whole of life becomes a festival of lights. Every gesture becomes a dance. Every movement becomes sheer joy. My emphasis that there is no future has nothing to do with gloom. It has something to do with you. If you can drop the idea of future completely, your enlightenment becomes immediately possible. And it is a good opportunity to drop the idea of future because the future itself is disappearing. But don't even, in any corner of your mind, go on carrying the idea that perhaps this too is a device. These are the strategies of the mind to keep you the same old zombie. Mind is clever. If you want to get up early in the morning, you set an alarm clock and you hear the alarm. The mind is so clever, it may start dreaming that you are in a church and church bells are ringing. The poor alarm clock cannot do anything more than it is doing. The mind has created a dream and made it possible for you to go on sleeping. The old religions were basically insistent on one thing, and that was the future. You should note it, not only the future in this life, but afterlife. Their whole program was to use your energy as a project for ensuring a future life after death in paradise, far, far away. This strategy worked. It took away the very juice of human life. People were simply waiting to live in paradise. This place, this earth, became just like a waiting room in a station where everybody is waiting for the train, and the train never comes, and people go on consulting the timetable. And people don't improve the waiting room either, because it is just a waiting room. I have traveled so much in India through hundreds of waiting rooms, and I've seen how people behave in waiting rooms differently than they behave in a house. They go on eating bananas and throwing banana peels all over the waiting room floor. After all, it is a waiting room. They are not going to live here. Their train is going to come, and they will be gone. The waiting rooms are so dirty, the bathrooms are so impossible, and nobody takes care not to make them even dirtier, because everybody's eyes are hooked on the future. They are consulting their timetables to see when their train is supposed to come, and then they will go.
This is good. This is very, very good.
I know. All the religious scriptures say this world is nothing but a waiting room. Your real home is far away, above the clouds. There is real living. Here is only waiting. I am trying to change the whole pattern of religious thinking. I am trying to say to you, this is your home. This very moment is your paradise. It all depends on you. You do not need to be virtuous to dance totally. You do not need to be learned to dance totally. You do not need to be pious to dance totally. To dance totally, all that is needed is that we accept the reality only of this moment. We will accept the reality of the next moment when it arrives, but we will not be waiting for it. All the religions have to be teaching you to wait. I am teaching you to live, to love, to dance, to sing, and don't wait.
Good.
Don't wait.
That's a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
And it's true. When he was talking about future, I'm thinking like tomorrow, and just being like a careful person and, planning out your being responsible. But what he's talking about is the afterlife and this promise of eternal salvation or whatever.
In heaven or hell.
If you're a good boy now and you don't sin and you go to church and ask for forgiveness because you're a sinner,
Right.
He's making more of a commentary on other religions rather
than real future.
The literal tomorrow.
Right.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
It's true too.
Gonna let that sink in.
Yes.
Hoping everyone is doing well and having a wonderful day. And don't wait to live. Do it now.
All right, let's get to it.
Do it now.
Bye.